Welcome to Wings of a Phoenix podcast. This month is March, and I'm excited to have a special guest with me today. And our topic is the revenge body, the plot twist. So, in the month of March, this is Women's History Month, or as I like to call it, Women's Her Story Month. And that's what we're going to be talking about our story after our glow up from our divorce, and the whole idea of the plot twist and the whole idea of the revenge body. And so when most people think about the revenge body, you're thinking about that glow up that you have after the divorce. And you do it so that your ex can be a little jelly. And that's understandable. But I want you to think about this in a different way in terms of being a phoenix and being a queen and getting that revenge body, not for them, but because you absolutely deserve it for yourself. And centering everything back to your worth and your future is really the heart of my coaching program. So the Phoenix Protocol in there is where I help women, high functioning women, intentionally design their next chapters. And my guest today, Jen Kramer, is a health coach and a menopause coach, and she's fantastic. And I know this firsthand because she was my menopause coach, but also she's someone who's been with me on this journey from the very beginning in terms of the protocol and just kind of walking through it. So Jen, I would love for you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your divorce story, a little bit about what you're doing as a health coach, and then we'll get into a few questions.
Great. Thanks, Trina. Thanks for having me today. Yes, I am a post-divorce. It's been about 10 years now and decided to totally shift my life after my divorce and become a health coach and put myself first and do what really my calling was for my heart. And I've been doing it now for, gosh, over 10 years.
Wow.
So excited to be here and help other women have the best life post-divorce they can have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the biggest shift you noticed when you started to really design your own time and really prioritize your health versus just kind of getting through your day, just functioning.
Yeah. Most of it was just getting through the day in the beginning. You're just like, whatever it takes to survive through the day, fight or
Exactly.
flight, definitely. But as I moved forward past the divorce, I became so intentional about my time. And my biggest thing, Trina, is I wanted to start my day with myself. So before looking at the phone and the kids and all of that, and end my day with myself. And that gave me that bookend of being more intentional and being in that rest and relaxation mode instead of going right into things and then sliding and expecting to stop and go to bed. Yeah, doesn't work.
Exactly. And that's one of the things too that we talk about in the Phoenix Protocol is really kind of blocking out that really important time. And that self-care time needs to be non-negotiable, and just making sure that you have time for whatever it is that you're going to be doing during that time. If it's journaling or working out, or for those of us like yourself and myself who are moms, sometimes just having peace and quiet.
But
We
it,
love
but
we love that. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about, since most of my audience is going to be women who are 40 and over, and so that could be premenopausal, menopausal women. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on during this time in terms of like our sleep, and, from the divorce, maybe we holding some stress in our body. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe some ideas of what we should do to kind of help with those things?
absolutely. Well, definitely after 40, there can be some shifts in the hormones. And so, where I like to tell my clients where we normally could take a 5 out of 10 in stress,
Uh-huh.
or I mean, we could take a 9 out of 10 in stress. Now we can take a 5 out of 10 in stress. So,
Okay.
really important for that rest and relaxation as the hormones are shifting downward. So we start to see a lot of trouble sleeping, maybe higher stress. So the first thing I always say, the big rock is sleep.
Mm,
And so some of just some key tips with sleep are to try to keep the same wake up time, even on the weekends, which can be tough because maybe we want to go out on Friday, but trying to keep within that same wake up time because that anchors our day. And then getting some exercise early in the day, get outside, get some light, go for a walk. And then as the day comes down and the sun goes down, that's our wind down period. Really important to start doing rest and relaxation things as we're 90 minutes before bed so that we
uh-huh.
don't get into bed and we're all wired up because it's very hard to go to sleep then.
Yeah,
A lot of my
absolutely.
clients, and I don't know if you felt this, Trina, have had that where the mind is going and they may wake up in the middle of the night or trouble sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just can't shut it down. I know a couple of things that have worked for me. I definitely have a nighttime routine. And I have this little lavender spray that I spray on my pillows, which is great. It just kind of gets me ready to go to bed. I also do meditation at night. So I meditate and first thing in the morning, I meditate last thing before I go to bed. And I also have found that for me anyway, I don't do TV before I go to sleep. I can't because for some reason it just keeps me going. But if I read or something, a little, journal or read at night, it's a little bit easier. I don't know if you found that to be helpful or something that your clients find too.
Yeah, absolutely. Little bit different than you, Trina. I need
Okay.
the TV to go
I
to.
got No, I watch TV, but I just don't do it right before bed. Because then for some reason, I'm still thinking about whatever the show was that I just watched, and I just can't calm down. So for me, I just need something else to kind of keep me a little calmer. But I do have my best friend. She goes to sleep with the TV on, so I get it. I know I may be the only one who can't do
Oh,
that.
no, you have some great sleep hygiene habits. And another one that works well for myself and my clients is something called brain dumping.
Okay.
So as part of your wind down routine, like about an hour before bed, you'd write in your journal or on a piece of paper, just chicken scratch, like the thoughts you're having, like whatever, if you have a checklist for the next day or something like that. That way it gets it off the brain. And then you can add a gratitude prompt at the bottom. So
Hmm.
3 good things that happened during the day to kind of prime your brain for the positive. And that helps. So if you should wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can kind of do that self talk of like, okay, I don't need to worry about this because I put it on that piece of paper. And
Excellent.
over time,
Excellent.
the brain learns to release that. And so that wired, worrying brain tends to calm down.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just think having a gratitude journal in general is something I absolutely did all through the divorce process, post divorce, because it was very helpful just to kind of get you through to the next day and the next big thing that was going to happen. I know some of my clients have talked about having stress in the body and maybe they didn't necessarily articulate it like that, but they noticed things were happening within their body. And I am one that firmly believes that, even when we've kind of gone through a challenge and we mentally have released it, we sometimes still hold on to it within our body if we haven't fully released it. So can you talk a little bit about how stress shows up in your body and some things that we can do to maybe release that stress in our body?
Definitely. Most people are my clients and myself as well feel it in the body. That's usually the first place that they feel it in the neck and shoulders, that
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
thing. So just doing even some stretching, right? The bring the chin to the chest or some of this, or, their shoulders are up as earrings. So letting
Mhm.
those go definitely help. And they may not notice it, but a lot of times we're at chest breathers. So when we're
Mm,
breathing into the chest, it's very fast and we're in that fight or flight system. So if you can take a big inhale through the nose where the belly expands, that deep belly breathing, and the longer exhale, because what the longer exhale does is it activates your rest and digest system. So if you feel yourself, your nervous system is kind of hyperactive, you can just take a few deep belly breaths and that will help reduce it right away. Then add some stretching in there.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. I totally believe in the stretching. And like I said, just doing the meditation
Mhm.
in the morning and also in the evening, it does the same thing in terms of the breathing. So that's great. Can you also talk a little bit about our diets during this time? Because everyone's body is changing. And in addition to that, we also have the stress of just moving into our new identities post divorce. And, whether that is a good stress or bad stress, it's still stress and and our bodies are still reacting to that. So are there any particular foods or things that we should think about? Water, obviously, to keep us going, but just can you talk to us a little bit about the fuel that we need for our bodies during this time period?
Absolutely. Nutrition, highly critical, especially after 40. So, a higher protein diet,
Hmm.
especially starting your day in the morning with a higher protein, will help keep your blood sugar stable. So, you're not on the blood sugar roller coaster every day. So, I would say if you can have your meals, have protein at every meal, protein and vegetables first, and then adding in your carbohydrates. So more protein than carbohydrates, just because at this age we tend to be more insulin resistant, meaning that it's harder to get the blood sugar into the cell. So if you're a woman who's looking to lose weight, it's going to be very difficult. So that's why we should have a higher protein diet. As well, our gut health is a little off, especially if you've had anxiety, stress, that all plays a role because the gut talks to the brain and the brain talks to the gut. So definitely eating a lot of fiber, protein, water. Absolutely. All of those things super important.
Excellent. All right. So when we think about, again, just kind of this revenge body and showing up really as our best self, and I like to tell my clients, like at this point, this needs to be about you because you don't want to continue to be a billboard for the past. You are trying to now, step into your future. And so a lot of that too just has to do with making sure that we've got our mindset right and our body, and we've got that mind, body, and spirit alignment. Because I do think when we're out of alignment, that's when we start getting this unsettled feeling, and we don't necessarily know what it is. We just know it's not right. Like something is off. And so, can you share a little bit about how that maybe has either showed up in your life or the lives of your clients, or especially post divorce, where you kind of thought that everything was together, and as high functioning women, we still show up, we're dressed, we're ready to go, we're doing all the things. And sometimes it's still not quite settled on the inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In my divorce, I ran my life based on my ex-husband and what I was supposed to do. I was a stay-at-home mom. So post-divorce, I had to spend some time, and I encourage my clients to spend some time in meditation and thinking about this is about you now. So what is important to you? What do you value? If there were no roadblocks in your way, what would you do? Dreaming big. Because I never thought that I would get into health and wellness, but it's
Mhm.
where my heart was. And every time I thought about it, it excited me. And even though it's scary to step into a new role and become aligned with who you are, but when you do
Yes.
that, it feels so connected, and it's been such a blessing. So spend some time really thinking about, you don't have to live your life based on anybody else. This is about you and what do you want moving
Yeah,
forward.
absolutely. And that's something I talk with my clients about as well. It's just, look at your interests and your passions and what are all those things that maybe you put to the side or you put on the shelf because you were trying to support somebody else's dream. And now it's time for you, this is your era. This is your chapter, let's step into it and let's start exploring those things. And sometimes that might look like, taking classes, honing up on some different skills so that you can get ready to walk into whatever your next chapter is going to hold for you. When you think back about your divorce, and let's say the papers are signed and the divorce is official, if you could go back to that Jen, what advice would you have for her? Or what are some things that maybe surprised you about, that time period?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I was so scared. My ex-husband said to me, "You'll be nothing without me."
Oh,
And
wow.
that stuck with me for a while. I gave him such power. And so if I could say something to my younger self, I would be like, "Go for it, girl. Just keep moving. Everything is going to work out just fine." And it worked out even better than I could have imagined it. I have a wonderful new husband who is the total opposite and very supportive. And I have a career that I love and I live where I want to live for the first time in my life. So don't be scared. You may not know what the future is, but all you really have to know is the next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes especially if you were in a marriage for a long time, that may have not have been the first time you had heard that. So it is definitely ingrained, and we have to really think about or find a new way to think about ourselves, and also release some of those old identities that we had before and just kind of pick up some new identities. And the wonderful thing is that we get to decide now, and we don't have to ask anyone's permission about what we want to do, right?
Yeah. And a byproduct of that is my relationship with my daughter got so much better once I was aligned with the person that I was meant to be and who I was. I was just a nicer friend, daughter, mother, all of those things.
Yeah. I would love to hear a little bit more about that, Jen. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because that is one thing too that we are always thinking about, especially those of us who are moms, is just how is the divorce going to impact the kids, and what can we do to make sure that they're taken care of. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I didn't handle it the best back then. I wish that it was okay for her to see me cry. I tried to be so strong and everything was fine and just move forward. But it was okay to show that I was hurting and that, it was sad and it was an ending and there were new beginnings. And looking back, it was difficult, but once I was stepped into my power and we ended up moving to Florida where she wanted to go, she blossomed. The relationship
Wonderful.
between us got better. The relationship even between her and her father got better. And so making the children think it's not about them. It's,
Yeah.
the relationship, it's not that we love them any less. It's that we're no longer, your father and I are no longer compatible.
Right. Absolutely. And I just think that's fantastic. And I think that's one of the things I talk to my clients about as well too, is that really once you step into your power and you reclaim that and you become the best version of yourself, you are going to be so much better in every other aspect of your life, right? Because you're going to show up for your children better, you're going to show up for your friends better, like you said, your family members. And whether you're working in the home or out of the home, you're going to show up in that space just the best version of you, and that is essential. So I think what we've talked about today is making sure that you're not just doing that revenge body for your past, but you're going to do it for yourself and really prioritizing yourself. And another thing, making sure that you are prioritizing your rest and movement, and you're getting the right fuel. And then, Jen, is there anything else that we want to make sure that we leave our listeners with today, and our viewers? We've got viewers on YouTube. So is there anything else we want to leave them with today, just thinking about that whole revenge fighting and the plot twists?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing to start with is take some time and create a vision for yourself. What
Mhm.
is the ultimate ideal future vision, whether that's physical, whether that's what you're doing with your work, how you want to feel emotionally, and write that down so that everything that you do is in service to that vision. and you have that as your compass or your guiding light. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Have a vision, know what it is that you want. And, now is the time to just go for it. Just be daring and go for it. It doesn't mean you're not going to be nervous. It doesn't mean you're not going to still have some fear around it, but feel the fear and do it anyway, because you will never know if you never try.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if that little inner critic is out, you just say, "Thank you very much, but I'm gonna move forward anyways," because it's probably what you want, what you are going to receive is gonna be even better than what you can even imagine.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jen, thank you so much for bringing your brilliance here today and sharing this with all of the listeners here. If there is anyone who's interested in reaching out to Jen, all of her information is going to be contained in the show notes. And if you are interested and ready to start scheduling some time for yourself and putting yourself first, I would love to have a clarity call with you so we can intentionally design your next chapter. And so you can reach out to me as well. In the show notes, you'll see a link to click for a clarity call. And I also just want to ask that if this episode has helped you in any way, please like and share, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use it. And until next time, remember that this is your season to rise.